Hello and welcome to the JSA Studio. I'm your host, as always, Nathan, and today I'm coming at you with a video breakdown of Michigan versus Fresno State, and we're going to transition after breaking down several plays from this game into talking about the matchup versus Texas. My original intention was to also break down some Texas film. However, that is no longer the plan, and I'll get to why that is the case here in a moment when we get to the Texas stuff after all of the Michigan stuff. We're going to start off real simple here. It's just going to be a run play with Khalil Mullings right up the middle here. And what we're going to do in this play here is we're going to see what makes Khalil Mullings perhaps a little bit different than Donovan Edwards, or the fact that Khalil Mullings was getting more consistent carries. This might be a reason why. I don't agree with the assertion that Khalil Mullings is a better running back than Donovan Edwards. I don't even agree, based off of the film of this game, that Khalil Mullings was a better running back than Donovan Edwards. We're going to start this play here. It's going to start off a little motion for the fullback, Bredesen, over here, number 44. Snaps the ball. Mullings is going to go up the middle, and we're going to pause it right here. There is absolutely goddamn nowhere to go for him. Literally nowhere. He can't go this way because this guy right here is going to step up and fill that gap. He can go this way, but then this guy's going to be right there to tackle him. There is nowhere to go for Khalil Mullings on this play. So he's just going to lower his shoulder. And this is what makes him different than Donovan Edwards for the most part. He's going to just basically, through sheer power and willpower, just going to drag several defenders with him for like 5 yards, and he's going to get 8 or 9 on first down. Donovan Edwards isn't doing that. He's just not. He's not that powerful. On that play, that's a 2-yard gain, maybe even less than that, if Donovan Edwards is in at running back, and Khalil Mullings gets another extra 6 or 7 yards because he just lowers the shoulder and moves people while they're trying to tackle him. Next play, this one's going to be a real quick, real simple play action pass here. You're going to see Davis Warren, who is in at QB right now. We're going to have a deep kind of over route. It's not really a dig, but it's close to it. Over from, I believe this is Tyler Morris. And then we have Moore over here, and he's going to run a deep post. It's going to be deeper than that, but I'm keeping it on the screen for you. This is a 2-man max protection route. And the thing that is concerning on this play is the fact that Davis Warren, I'll let it play while I talk about this. Davis Warren predetermined where he was going to throw this ball. He's not reading the field. I don't like the route concept. I don't like running 2-man route concepts. It doesn't work. But here's the thing. I'm actually going to back it up a little bit. Back to the beginning. If we watch these linebackers right here, they're going to fall hook, line, and sinker for the play action. They're going to go and run up right to the line of scrimmage here. Boom. Falls for it. What I would have done on this play, which is a gripe with the play calling, I would have had Colston Loveland here, or maybe somebody else, I don't know. Colston Loveland just run a little quick route right here. Davis Warren has him. He's wide open. The safeties will come up and make the tackle, but it's first down, and it's a 7-yard gain. I don't like 2-man routes. I think they're dumb, and I think they're pointless, especially if you're trying to design a shot calling sort of play. More so than that, the actual legitimate problem that I have with this play, Davis Warren is not reading the field. This is the first example of several we're going to go through. Davis Warren is not reading the field. It's not that he's going through one read and then just moving to the check down because it's only a one-read thing, or that's what he's being coached to do, which happens a lot when you don't trust the quarterback. He isn't reading the field at all. Literally 0 reads consistently. He's doing nothing. He's just going to chuck the ball. At this point in time, Actually, I lied. We're going to back up one more time. Look at his head. Look at his head. Watch his head on this play here. He is flat out and straight up, not moving his head at all. He is staring down where he's going to throw the football the entire time. Now, this is the other gripe that I have with this. He should know that neither of these routes downfield that you can't see aren't open. Donovan Edwards is wide open. You don't need to take a shot on 1st and 10. Dump it off to Donovan Edwards, which is something he did consistently throughout the game, except for the one time he actually should have. I don't know. This is very bad. In case you haven't figured it out, this is the interception. So if you're going to throw this pass here, which you look at it here, I stopped it too soon. If you look at it here, he's not covered, you know, all the way. He's kind of open. But what you have to do with this pass, the ball's up here, what you have to do is you have to lead this ball over here to the opposite pylon, or maybe even more flat, like down here, so that because this guy is technically over him, so when the safety is over the receiver, you throw the ball flat so that he doesn't, so that this guy doesn't have a play on the ball. Okay, he didn't do any of that. He leads him up the field, which is not the correct decision. This is not good ball placement at all. And then, yeah, you look at where he caught the ball. He's not even at the midway point. That dash is like the midway point. He's like 2 or 3 yards this way. This is very, 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 very bad stuff out of Davis Warren. Just absolutely awful decision-making, and even the decision-making could have been better with ball placement, and he doesn't have the skills necessary to put the ball where it needs to be. This is bad all around by Davis Warren. All right, so even though we hit the trifecta of bad play call, bad decision, bad execution on this last play, this play is going to sort of hit the trifecta in a good way here. So on this play right here, you've got Kendrick Bell, I believe, is this receiver right up here. He's just going to run a quick little over route. And the reason that this is going to work is because we're going to see both middle linebackers blitz. They're going to do a little cross blitz. When I was in school playing ball, we called this crossfire. We go ahead and play it here. And what's going to happen is that you're going to see the offensive line do a poor job, specifically the center, Greg Crippen. He's just going to get obliterated. And I don't have access to the All-22, so I don't actually know if it's Giovanni El Hadi, the right guard spot, or if it's Greg Crippen. After watching the film a couple of times, I would lean more towards El Hadi being the problem than I would the center. But, you know, that's just me here. But running back does a good job picking it up right here in the middle, right here. And we're seeing already Kendrick Bell is breaking open over the middle. So we go ahead and let it play. Davis Warren is going to make this throw. He's not totally under distress, but very clearly not comfortable throwing off the back foot. It's still accurate enough. And Kendrick Bell, now hypothetically, you would have liked to have seen the ball thrown more over here so Kendrick Bell can keep his running, you know, speed going and then run up to the field. Maybe beat this guy to the sideline. There's another guy that's going to come in down here, but he could have gotten maybe 15 yards instead of 12, so it's not that big of a deal at the end of the world. But the execution, you know, is good enough, but it's a good play call, and it's good decision to throw the ball over the middle. Basically, whenever you blitz from, or whenever the defense is blitz from, that's where you want to attack because there are less defenders there. And that's what happened on this play. This is probably the only time in this video I'm going to have anything positive to say about Davis Warren. But I did want to throw this in there because I thought it was a relatively solid play that he made here. All right, moving away from the passing game for a second, we're going to go back to the run game. Here on this play, this is just a little, they're trying to do a little power into the right side B gap here. That's not the way it's going to work out, but it doesn't particularly matter. They're going to send C.J. Charleston into motion over here, and he's going to try to come around and try to block somebody out here. that doesn't matter so much. What you're going to see here, though, is that you're going to see Josh Preeb, the left guard. He's going to pull. You're going to see Greg Crippen, the center, come over here and block this guy right here. And he's actually going to do a real good job at doing that. I'm going to let it run here for a second. Khalil Mullings is in the backfield, important to the discussion that I want to talk about here. But you see here, everybody's doing their job. This is looking good right now. You see you got Crippen. He's coming up over here. You're going black over here. Oh, that's not Crippen. That's El Hadi. This is Crippen. He's taking care of that backside D tackle. This linebacker is going to take himself out of the play. And if you look at over here, they're not doing a great job. The tight end and Evan Link. They're not doing a great job. But when the backside does a good job, it doesn't particularly matter that much. Because Khalil Mullings is going to see the cutback lane, and he's going to go. If this is Donovan Edwards in the game right now, this is a big play. Because Donovan Edwards hits that, full speed gear right now. And it's not impossible that these two players could have made a play. But he's probably at least another half yard ahead of them. He's probably right here, in which case both of these guys are diving at his ankles. And maybe they get there, maybe they don't. But this is why you need to give consistent carries to a guy like Donovan Edwards, because he can be explosive. Khalil Mullings isn't explosive, okay? He's powerful. He may or may not be an NFL type of running back or an NFL caliber running back. It's relatively irrelevant to this conversation. The reason you want to give Donovan Edwards consistent carries is because he can take the ball to the house. He is the only player you have on offense, if you're Michigan, that can make a house call from anywhere on the field. It's him, and it's nobody else. It's just him. On a down-to-down basis, because he can just, carry people for 3 or 4 yards, Khalil Mullings might be better or more consistent in that way, if you want to call it that. But Donovan Edwards' trade-off between having those explosive plays or hypothetically having those explosive plays is a much bigger net positive than Khalil Mullings getting an extra yard or two consistently. The explosive plays are far, far more important than going from 2 yards a carry to 3 yards a carry, because that's effectively what we were talking about in this game until the fourth quarter. Okay, another run play right here. And on this play, what's going to happen is that they're going to send Donovan Edwards in motion here. And he's going to go behind the quarterback, which we'll talk about that for a second, which he was absolutely coached to do. Like, that's the design of the play. And it's not good play design. That's the main point that I want to say in this video here. But let's go ahead and start this play right here. Donovan Edwards is going to go in motion. He's going to run behind the quarterback. And you see here, they're doing a pretty decent job. They're doing a pretty decent job right now. Honestly, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. This linebacker right here that's going to come up here and make the play should be irrelevant, but we'll talk about that in a second. Hypothetically, Donovan Edwards should be like right here, right now, which would make him irrelevant. So then you've got Khalil Mullings to come around and seal this player right here, get him out of the way. Greg Crippen is doing his job. He's taking out the backside linebacker. Everybody else is doing their job. This is actually phenomenally blocked. The only player that has a chance to make this play is him, assuming the wide receiver can't sustain the block, or the free safety back here at the edge of the screen, assuming he can get over here fast enough. But unfortunately, this was ass play design, and Donovan Edwards is going to get, not tackled. I think he ends up breaking this one tackle. But then they're going to come through here. I mean, they're going to have tackle him for a loss. So we're going to back it up here. Back to the beginning. If Donovan Edwards' path is this instead of this, he's another yard or two out in front of this play, and he can get the edge. There's a reason why every time this play is ran, it's not ran like this. There's a reason why. It's because if he's another yard or two ahead of this nonsense right here, if he's probably right here, in which case he's got the edge. Now, they didn't particularly do a good job blocking him, but that's irrelevant to the point I'm trying to make. Maybe Donovan Edwards can get around this guy. Maybe he can't. Either way, it's not a loss. If he's right here, which is where he should be if he had gone in front of the quarterback, then he can get the edge, and this is maybe a touchdown. And yeah, we're in the second quarter here. It's only 7-3. But you score a touchdown heading into the half like this, oh, okay, it's normal week one jitters sort of stuff. You know, we're not doing it, whatever. But that's not what this was. This is bad play design. And I saw a couple of people talking about how Donovan Edwards isn't the guy that you want doing this. I mean, I guess, but he's definitely not the guy that you want taking the extra long path back this way, because he's not quick enough to do that. But if he's in front of the quarterback and it's just straight line speed, it's not a horrible decision. But I can't get over the fact that Kurt Campbell is calling this play. He did it a couple of times in this game too, where we're handing the ball off behind the quarterback. There's a reason nobody else in college football or the NFL does that when they run that play. It's always in front of the quarterback. It's because it's a shorter path to the edge. It's, basic geometry. And I can't get over the play calling in this game because it wasn't good. And when we saw Kurt Campbell call plays previously, it was good. So I don't know what the fuck was going on in this game. But this is bad play design. And more so than that, even though it was executed really well, the play design fucked them from the start. Anyway, moving on to this next play here. Play design isn't as bad on this play here. The two main players that we're going to worry about here is going to be, I believe this is Tyler Morris. He's going to be running just a little drag route across the field. And this player right here, who I think is Charleston number 5, but I'm not positive. He's just going to run a little seam route. The idea of this is this linebacker right here. Let me clear the screen. This linebacker right here is going to drop. He's going to see this wide receiver running the stream route, so he's going to drop further than he normally would to try and make the quarterback not throw that seam route. Then, all of a sudden, with him dropped back further than he would, maybe even behind the sticks, Tyler Morris is going to come across the field, and then you take Tyler Morris, he turns upfield, and he's got a pretty decent chance of getting the first down. And as this play develops, you're going to see, watch number 7 here for them. You're going to see that that's exactly what is on the case to happen. Let's back this up just slightly. You see, he right here is looking at him. He sees the vertical release. He's going to come off of it, look back into the backfield, and see Davis Warren is getting ready to throw the check down a half of a second into the play. Davis Warren is not reading the play. He's like, fuck it, I'm just going to throw the check down. I'm not going to bother looking down the field. And his protection at this point is solid. He's got the time. And even more so than that, Donovan Edwards almost certainly isn't the hot route on this play. The hot route being who you throw it to quickly if there's a free blitzer or something. And he's just going to give up on the play. This is Davis Warren giving up on the play a half of a second after the play started. And Donovan Edwards isn't Blake Corum. He's not going to make people miss in the open field. He's a slasher, a straight line speed kind of guy. And they're going to tackle him for a loss here on 3rd and 9. Let's back it up one more time. This is just so awful from Davis Warren. It's so bad because everything works out for Tyler Morris, who should be the first read on this play, to be able to catch the ball, make a move, and move upfield. Everything works out. The only reason this linebacker is coming down to where you would hypothetically take away this drag route over here is because he sees Davis Warren is already staring down Donovan Edwards. Otherwise, he's not going to be coming forward like his momentum is suggesting here on this play. He's going to be back over here, maybe even deeper back over here some. And this guy is going to keep drifting back this way. This is a really good play call by Kurt Campbell. And Davis Warren just said, fuck it, I don't want a first down. I don't want to, you know, put more than 3 points on the board. That shit doesn't fucking matter. I'm just going to not do my reads or go through any progression or look downfield at all. I'm just going to dump the ball off to my running back, and hopefully he can make 3 people fucking miss and get a first down. There's no defending this. Like, this is awful. I get that there are people that talk about, like, oh, Davis Warren didn't play that bad. Yes, he did. He played that bad. In fact, people probably aren't being harsh enough on him. He did not once this entire game read the field. This is an awful, awful performance by Davis Warren. And there's no history of him showing that he can read the field in game. So I don't believe that he's going to get better at this. Okay? If this is the Davis Warren that shows up against Texas, this team is going to get fucking destroyed. Even if the improvements in the run game that I think can happen and relatively easily should happen, they're still going to get murdered. All right, next couple of plays here are just going to be quick hitter to kind of accentuate the point that I'm making here. And on this play right here, Donovan Edwards is going to be real close to a house call here. I'm going to let the play run. He's come up here. It looks like it's blocked pretty decently. Donovan Edwards is going to slip through here. It's a good gain. This is a good gain. All right. So, on this play here, what we're going to see here is this deep safety here. He's only like 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. So, it's pretty obvious he's going to roll down. But hypothetically, if they had called a different defense, if this had been a 2-safety look where he's going to go out as opposed to coming down into the slot here, Donovan Edwards is fucking gone. And this is just bad luck, so to speak, because as I'm going to let this play again, you're going to see the offensive line is going to do their job. El Hadi at right guard is sealing this off. He'll be able to, or hypothetically, maybe in the future, he'll be able to work up to this backer here to take him out. But that doesn't happen here. He comes up. Then, if that safety, which once again, we'll back up and watch him now. If this safety isn't rotating down in here, then he's not going to know to be up in this business here. So, this is relatively close to being a big, big gain. Now, it's still 6 or 7 yards. So, it's a good gain. But real close to being an even bigger, more explosive play if the defense hadn't been called relatively perfectly. And that's why you keep Donovan Edwards in the game, because he can turn those types of plays into big gains. Khalil Mullings really can't. All right, this play right here, it's a 3rd and 1. It's just going to be a read option with Orgy and Mullings. The only point that I wanted to bring this up here is that this could have been a bigger gain for Orgy if he had, you know, been capable of making a move. And I think a lot of us, and this game kind of proved it to me as well, and I'm part of the group of people that I'm talking about here, expect Alex Orgy to be something that he isn't. And he's a very good athlete, don't get me wrong. But he's not particularly explosive. And what I want to point out here, he's also not a particular natural runner at all either. So this guy right up here at the top of the screen, you can see him right there. Alex Orgy, he's just like, I'm just going to get the first down. I don't care about any of that. But if he had, like, right now, or let me back up a little bit. If he had juked outside like that right there, this is potentially a bigger gain, because there ain't goddamn nobody outside of that back cornerback right there. So it's not that big of a deal. It's 3rd and 1. He got the first down. He did his job. But I'm just saying that maybe Alex Orgy isn't what we all thought he was, because he's not that fast. Like, he's fast for a guy that's 6'3" and 240 pounds. But when it comes to actual football speed, He's not that fast. And can he be powerful? Could he break tackles, run through people? Yeah, sure, but you don't want your quarterback doing that. You just don't. So I think maybe Alex Orji isn't what we all thought he is. And that is a little bit sad because we probably need to do something other than Davis Warren at the quarterback position. But it's pretty obvious that Alex Orji ain't it either. Okay, the very next play after that Alex Orji play is this play right here. And it's just going to be a simple handoff up the middle. It's not going to be particularly blocked well. However, Mullings is going to find a little gap over here onto the right, and he's going to break it forward. And the point I want to make by showing you this play is if Donovan Edwards is in the running game right now, then, or in at the running back position right now, then there's a real possibility that he is, again, just like the play earlier, another half a yard to a yard. Actually, that's a yard and 2 yards, but you get the point. There's a chance that he's further along in this than Khalil Mullings, in which case he might be able to split this gap and run outside and take it to the house, which, again, is why you put Donovan Edwards in the game. And it's why you give Donovan Edwards 20 to 25 carries every game. Because there's a very, very good possibility he's going to break one of them for a massive gain. And Khalil Mullings, even though this play turns into like a 8, 9, a 10-yard gain because he breaks a tackle and spins out of another, it's actually more like a 15, 20-yard gain. I misspoke. But if it's Donovan Edwards, I think there's a real chance that he takes it to the house. Genuinely. And Khalil Mullings is good. I'm not saying that he isn't good. What I'm saying is that there is no scenario, if Michigan is going to win any of their 4 big games this year, that they win those games if Khalil Mullings has more carries than Donovan Edwards. That's just not going to happen. So Khalil Mullings is good. Very good even. But Donovan Edwards needs to be getting 25 carries a game. And actually, I just realized I skipped a play. So we're going to go back in time. And I'm just going to play this play. I'm not going to draw on the screen here yet. I want you to tell me where the fuck Donovan Edwards is supposed to go on this play. The offensive line just didn't block. Like, what else is he supposed to do? And if that's Khalil Mullings, he can probably push this defensive player here forward for another 3-4 yards. But if this double team by Preby and Hinton on the left side can work to that second level here, this double team right here, Hinton, Preby, they're going to double team this player here. And the idea is that Preby is going to push him into Hinton so Hinton can just block him straight up and then work to one of these 2 linebackers right here. And that's not what's going to happen if we watch them right down here. They're going to struggle to get that did. Hypothetically, if this play is blocked properly, Preby should be going ahead and blocking him off, and then Donovan Edwards is taking this 80 or 75 yards to the house. It's a home run. They're not catching him. And it's just not blocked well. For whatever reason, they didn't block as well when Donovan Edwards was in the game. And I don't think it's got a damn thing to do with who's carrying the ball. I think it's, relatively speaking, just bad luck. But if Donovan Edwards gets some of those plays where it's blocked as well as the ones that Khalil Mullings had when it was blocked and he was ripping those big runs late in the game, then this is, a touchdown. Or it's an explosive play, more explosive than what Khalil Mullings can give you. And that's, again, just to illuminate this point even further, why you have to give Donovan Edwards those carries. Okay, last play that we're going to look at, now that I've kind of made my point about the running backs. This play, I'm going to make my point about the quarterback position, okay? On this play right here, they're going to send Tyler Morris in motion. He's going to come out here. He's going to run a little fake to the flat, and then he's going to turn upfield while keeping his momentum. And, or actually, I went off the screen there. I didn't mean to. Go up the field like this, and he's going to actually be wide open. But that's relatively irrelevant to this conversation right now. Peyton O'Leary right here is just going to run a clear out little post route across the field here. He knows he's not getting the ball, mainly because he's Peyton O'Leary. But on the downside here, or on the seed side closest to you, hypothetically speaking, you're going to see Colston Loveland. He's going to come out here. He's going to run just a little route like that. And then Klein, the other tight end, is going to come out here and do the same thing. It's a little level concept. So let's go ahead and let it run here. It's going to be a play action. You're going to go ahead and watch what the linebackers are going to do on this play here. Tyler Morris in motion. Snap the ball. Play action. We're even going to pull a guard here to sell that it might be a run. And the linebackers are at the line of scrimmage. So when the play action game works, and this is Michigan's only shot in hell of moving the ball in the air. Look at how wide open the middle of the field is. There's nobody here. There's nobody there. So he's going to see that. He's going to throw it to Colston Loveland. And Colston Loveland is really good. So he can turn up the field and kind of just carry his number 20 into the end zone with him. Now, as I said earlier, Tyler Morris was, in fact, open for like a touchdown early in this route as well. But that was more him winning in one-on-one because of leverage and stuff like that. Colston Loveland won because he's very, very good. You get the ball to Colston Loveland because he's very, very good. But once again, as we go back to almost the start here, look at his head. I'm not going to commentate. See where his head is. He's just staring down Colston Loveland the entire time. Hypothetically, on this play right here, which very well could happen against Texas, if this linebacker doesn't bite so hard on the play action, or if he's athletic enough to recover after he bites on the play action, then you could see him come down here. And now if this is Texas, this linebacker right here probably at this point hypothetically recognizes that it's not pass, and he's going to plant, which is going to take a second, and then he's going to go back. And Davis Warren doesn't know this motherfucker exists. He's got no clue he exists. So, hypothetically against Texas, and they've got some quality linebackers, especially in pass coverage. He could have dropped back here, this guy. Could have, after recognizing it isn't a run play, would have dropped back right into where they would have thrown the ball. So we talk about like, oh, this is a touchdown. It's a good play. Yeah, it wouldn't be a touchdown against Texas. It just wouldn't. I'm not high on Texas's defense, and we're going to talk about Texas here in just a second. But against Texas, there's no shot in hell Davis Warren is completing 15 passes, and he fucking struggled to complete 15 passes against Fresno State. I am very concerned about the quarterback position for this team. And I want to make something else clear here. This is just going to be on the pause screen for a minute. If Davis Warren wasn't an upperclassman, I think he has a COVID year, so he's got one more year left in him, hypothetically, I think. If he was Jaden Davis, would I be as brutal on him as I have been in this video? No. No, I would not. Because Jaden Davis is 19 fucking years old. He might not even be 19 years old. He might still be 18 years old. And he's a true freshman. And more so when you're starting the highly touted recruit here. That's an admission that this team isn't competing for shit. However, when you're starting a fourth-year player like Davis Warren, or he might even be a fifth-year player, I'm not positive. when you're starting an upperclassman like Davis Warren, you're trying to admit that you're going to win. That's what you're saying, that you're going to try to win. When you start someone like Alex Orji, who's more about upside, when you start someone like Jaden Davis, who's very, very young, and it's more about what he is going to be 2 to 3 years from now, then you're admitting, oh, we're not really trying to win. It is a subtle way to set expectations for this team. If we replace Davis Warren with Jaden Davis, and Jaden Davis did all of the exact same shit that Davis Warren did, would I be as hard on him? No. No, I would not. Because he's a young quarterback. He's allowed to have growing pains. When you've been in the system for 4 years, you are not allowed to have growing pains. At least, if you do have growing pains, they can't fucking look like you've got no clue what's going on 99% of the time. Davis Warren is going to lead this team to a 7-5 record if he's a starting quarterback the whole season. Genuinely, I think that. Do I think he will be the starting quarterback the whole season? No, I think he'll get benched after we lose to USC. But that is a topic for another time. Instead, we're going to go ahead and break down Texas here a little bit. Now, as I stated in the beginning of this video, I did intend to kind of go through some Texas film here and kind of show you why I came to my takes, but a lot of the stuff that I was saying was just the same shit over and over again. I'm just like, oh yeah, that looks good, but you're playing Colorado State. Oh yeah, I think Michigan would have blocked that better, so I think maybe they've got an advantage in this matchup. So I don't think there's a whole lot of a point in showing you all of that. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts overall, starting with the offense. And I'm going to start with Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is good. I think if he was great, he'd be in the NFL. And when I talk about Oregon, it's going to be the same thing, okay? He's a good quarterback, especially at the college level. He's not going in the first round. Unless he shows us some shit that we ain't seen from him in his 2 years of being a starter with better talent than he has this year, in my opinion, then he's not going in the first round. He's just not. His arm strength is overrated. His arm talent is overrated. He's not an athlete. Now, he's not a statue, but he's not an athlete. I don't think this is a first-round caliber player. And more so than that, he doesn't even have the build of an NFL quarterback, and there are still teams that care about that. I don't think he's going in the first round. I think he's very, very good. And as a Michigan fan, would I kill to have a quarterback as good as Quinn Ewers on this team? Yes, absolutely. That's not the point. The point is, Quinn Ewers is not someone that I think can overcome as good of a defense as Michigan has potentially. And I'll get into my takes about this game at the end of this segment here. But I don't think he's going to need to be good enough to overcome the defense in order for Texas to win this game. And another thing that I want to say, this is a point that I've had since all the way back at the beginning of last year. Your offensive line is incredibly overrated. It's not a top 5 unit in college football. I would hesitate to put it in the top 20. Okay? Kevin Banks is really, really good. He can't fucking run block. He's maybe the best pass blocker left tackle in college football. He can't fucking run block. And Cam Williams, on the other side, he can't fucking pass block. Like, I think your tackles are phenomenally overrated. I'm not even positive Kevin Banks is an offensive tackle at the next level. Because he's listed at 6'4". He might not be 6'4". He might be 6'3" and like 5'8" or some shit like that. And if he doesn't have the arm length, his ass is getting moved to guard. Okay? I like Kevin Banks. I don't like him like everybody else do. Okay? To get into some NFL talk, I think Kevin Banks right now for me would have a top 40 grade, meaning back end of the first round, you know, early second round is sort of where I would see him as value. And Cam Williams, I think, would be more probably top 100, maybe a 4th round grade on him. And you're playing 2 edge rushers for Michigan that have legitimately real chances to go in the first round. And when you look at the guards, Michigan's D tackles did not particularly play well against Fresno State. I think that was more of a I'm not going to try too hard because it's Fresno State sort of situation than anything. But your guards aren't anything goddamn special either. Like, Connor and Campbell, I believe, are the names of your two starters, 76 and 52. Those guys are not great. You know, they're solid. They're good. But again, they're playing two players that have a real chance to go in the first round. I mean, Mason Graham might go in the top 5. And Kenneth Grant, I'm a little bit hesitant to put him in the first round because he's a nose tackle. But he does rush the passer very well for someone that big. And he's a phenomenal athlete for somebody that big. So I think that's genuinely a mismatch and a strong one in favor of Michigan. I have significant doubts about Jaden Blue's ability to be the #1 running back. Okay? I get that he's listed at 6 foot 200. He looks small. And he's fast, he's explosive. Best case scenario for him, I think he's a guy that will rip off a 15-yard gain and then follow it up with like 1 or 2 yard gains for like 3 or 4 snaps, and then he'll rip off a 40-yard touchdown. Okay? That's what I think Jaden Blue is. And Michigan might have the best run defense in the country. They had the best run defense last year. They might have the best run defense this year. If you still had C.J. Baxter, I would be more inclined to say, oh, yeah, Jaden Blue coming off of the bench and being kind of that change of pace home run guy, now Michigan is in trouble because C.J. Baxter can get those tough yards. He can turn a 2-yard gain into 4 yards. I'm not positive Jaden Blue can do that. And the last thing that I want to talk about offensively is your wide receiving core is very good. It's very, very good, okay? Maybe one of the 10 best in college football. It is not anywhere near as good as it was last year. It's just not. You look at wide receiver 1, I think that's Wingo. Last year was A.D. Mitchell, and A.D. Mitchell was fantastic. He was a top 5 receiver in the country. And Wingo might be that one day, but he's a true freshman. He's not there yet, okay? And even though I really, really like him, and I think he's going to end up maybe even being a top 10 pick in the NFL draft 2 or 3 years from now, he's not there yet. He's a true freshman. And for those of you interested, you want to talk about how much I loved A.D. Mitchell last year. He was, I believe, the 13th overall player in the entire draft class for me. Loved A.D. Mitchell. I think the Colts got an absolute steal in the second round. And you look at wide receiver 2, most likely Isaiah Bonds. You look at wide receiver 2 last year, Xavier Worthy, okay? Who's better, Bonds or Worthy? The answer is Worthy, and it's not close. Okay, I get that early on in the season, Isaiah Bond, starter at Texas, or starter at Alabama, transfers to Texas. People are throwing him in the first round because they don't know who the fuck else to put there. This motherfucker's not going in the first round, I can guarantee you it. He's probably going to end up with like a top 75 grade for me, meaning late second, early third. He's a day 2 pick. I think he's going to be a top 3 receiver in the NFL year 1, okay? But he's not as good as Xavier Worthy. And you look at wide receiver 3, there's kind of a battle there. I actually thought number 2, Golden, looked the best out of your remaining wide receivers that got significant snaps. But this is a receiving core that has taken a step back. And it's not a small step. It's not a big step either, okay? It is a medium-sized, middle-of-the-road step back. And that's going to be a theme with this team, okay? I think the offensive line is probably on par last year, and it was extraordinarily overrated last year too. I think the running backs have taken a full, massive, maybe even multiple steps backwards, okay? But a full big step backwards. I think the receiving core has taken a medium step backwards. Moving on to the defense, my main takeaway when watching the film is that Colorado State is real fucking bad. That's a bad, bad football team. Now, could Colorado State be a middle-of-the-pack group of 5 team and you're just that good? Absolutely. That is a definitive and a real possibility, okay? I believe that it could be the case. I believe that it could be the case. I don't actually believe that. I think Colorado State is going to struggle to win 3 or 4 games this year. But could Colorado State actually be decent? Yeah, sure. I'm not going to argue with you. They're not better than Fresno State. I will argue with you about that. They're fucking not. There's no way you can watch those 2 games and come away with the conclusion that Fresno State is worse than Colorado State, which is a take that I have heard Texas people say. So, competent members of the Texas fandom, I'm begging you, keep your goddamn people in check. I do my best to try to keep Michigan people in check. The second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this defense, your front 7 has taken a significant step backwards from last year. Okay? You don't have T'Vondre Sweat, who I had a top 50 grade on, ended up going early on in the 2nd round. The best run defender in college football last year, barring none. Maybe with one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen I've ever seen in the run defense game. You don't got nobody on your team like that. Byron Murphy was a 1st-round interior guy at the 3 technique position. I had a top 20 grade on him. I think he was my highest graded defensive player, or the 2nd highest graded defensive player, because Jared Verst actually I think was my highest graded defensive player. I think he was my 2nd highest rated defensive player in last year's draft class. Loved Byron Murphy. I wanted the Lions to trade up and draft him, but they don't listen to me. But it's fine. It doesn't matter that much. Also, I have some relatively significant concerns about your linebackers and their run fits. Specifically number 0, whose name I'm blanking on right now. He was excellent in like a run and chase sort of role, and in pass coverage, he was fantastic. Loved him while he was doing that. There were several times when he was asked to be that inside linebacker, you know, a Mike or a star sort of role, depending upon what, you know, terminology you want to use, where he was completely and utterly in the wrong gap, and Colorado State was so bad that it didn't matter. So I do have some questions about your run fits at the linebacker position. I have some questions about the quality of your defensive line overall. All that being said, your secondary looked significantly better than it ever did last year in this game. Even against the bad teams, when you were playing bad teams, you know, the secondary still didn't look great. It didn't look as good as it looked this game. Number 7, I thought was fantastic for you guys, as well as Malik Muhammad, your other starting corner. I don't remember what number he was, if he was 5 or 6, but you had 5, 6, and 7, and those were the guys that I saw the most out there on the field, at least when I was paying attention enough to look at the numbers. And your safety play was also solid. I thought number, what was it, 18? Or was it 18? I think it was 18. I don't remember. It was Taffy, I think was his name. Michael Taffy. I apologize, but I'm goddamn horrible with names. Either way, I thought he was really solid as a safety too. So I think that the secondary has vastly improved from last year, where it was straight up a liability to any team that had a pulse in the passing game. This year, I think they actually might be good, like good enough to potentially slow down a passing game. So that's a big, big step forward. However, I'm not positive how much that's going to matter against other teams on your schedule that aren't Michigan. So my overall thoughts on this team are, this is a good team. Very good even. But I think they're phenomenally overranked. I think this is the 4th best team in the SEC, maybe even the 5th best team in the SEC. And I think that's got less to do with the overall team talent and more to do with the fact that you just don't have a whole lot of NFL guys on this team right now, on defense at least. Like, there are a couple of players here or there where I think will get drafted, but you don't have a dude. The defensive line, I'm not positive there's a draftable prospect on the defensive line right now. Okay? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But after 1 week and looking at, you know, the players that come back from last year, I'm not positive. Linebacking core, I think there might be a couple players there. Secondary, I thought looked good. Hypothetically, Michigan actually matches up real well with this team. The three biggest strengths of your team last year, your wide receivers, your running backs, and your interior defensive linemen, have all taken either medium or big steps back, okay? And more important than that, Quinn Ewers is never someone that's seemed like the kind of guy that's going to go out and win a football game, okay? Do you win football games with Quinn Ewers? Yes, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is push comes to shove, he's going to go out of his way to make the plays to win a game. He's never striked me as the kind of guy that's going to be able to do that. And I think that's a major reason, along with just sort of an underwhelming deep ball, that he isn't being talked about in the first round legitimately. Okay? Like when people are talking about the first round this year, it's, you know, Shader Sanders, who I'm not particularly high on, but I do think he'll go in the first round. And now they're talking about Cam Ward, who I am high on, and I think will go in the first round. And then there's a couple other names being floated around. Quinn Ewers isn't fucking one of them. And I get that you're in your bubble with your Texas stuff and you're the biggest brand in football. I get all of that, okay? But Quinn Ewers is not being talked about in the first round. He's just not. At least not from actual people whose opinion I respect. And moving on from all of that, I don't think any of that shit fucking matters. None of it. Genuinely. I don't think any of that shit matters. Because Michigan don't have a fucking quarterback. The line, I think, opened at 3.5. It then shot up instantly to 6.5 and has then since moved to 7.5. At least when I checked it last night. I did not bother to check up again when I woke up this morning. Now, I want to make this very clear here, okay? I have not been kind to Texas in this little 10-15 minute portion of the video where I'm talking about Texas. All right? I also wasn't kind to Michigan. Really at all. Okay? There were a couple of things where I pointed out like, oh yeah, that was decent. But I am much more confident in Texas as a team than I am in Michigan. Okay? Michigan does not have a fucking quarterback. And it's not that they don't have a quarterback, it's that they don't have a quarterback. Like, they don't have anybody that is even capable of playing the position, really. Okay? Now, am I wrong? Sure. I guess I could be. I don't fucking know. But based off of one game, hell no. And if you want to come at me for overreacting, cool. I don't care. I'm going to trust what I saw more so than something untangible like, oh, it's first week jitters. You don't want to overreact. Okay, I didn't overreact about the offensive line. I didn't overreact about the running backs. I didn't overreact about Donovan Edwards, okay? I didn't overreact about Will Johnson or Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant not particularly playing well. I didn't overreact to any of that. What I did overreact to, if you want to call it an overreaction, I would just call it having a pair of eyes, is Davis Warren looked horrible, okay? And Texas has a better defense than Fresno State does. And Michigan scored 23 points against Fresno State. Michigan ain't fucking scoring 23 points against Texas. And Michigan's defense might hold Texas to less than 30. Might. So this is maybe the easiest prediction that I'm going to make this week. I'm not going to give you a score. I don't have enough information on both of these teams. For all I know, Michigan can come out and win 49-0. I don't fucking know. Okay, I don't know. I think that there are flaws to exploit with this Texas team. I think they're fantastically overrated. I think they're going to cruise to a 10-2 record and backdoor their way into the playoffs. I think Michigan is looking at 8-4 or 7-5. Maybe 9-3 if they can get some shit figured out. All that being said, I think Texas is still probably a top 15 team in the country. I don't think Michigan is. Okay. I think Texas is going to win the game. I'm not going to give you a score because I don't have enough information to accurately predict a score yet. But I think Texas wins, and I think they cover. Whether that's Texas going on a touchdown drive with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter to put them up 10, and then Michigan has to pass the ball, and then that's the end of the game. Or Texas blows them out, or something like that. I don't know. You can figure that out on your own. Whatever you want to say is going to be the score, go for it. Can Michigan win this game? Yes, they can. There is a path, and it's a relatively easy path for Michigan to win the game. But they're going to need 200 yards passing in the passing game in order to win this game. And I don't believe for a goddamn second that Warren Davis is going to give you 200 yards passing. I just don't. But that's just me, and what do I know? I am just some asshole on the internet giving you his opinion. So at this point, I'd like to remind you to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and if you disagree at any point, or you just have something to say, go ahead and drop a comment down in the comment section below. And now with the outro done and out of the way, there's only one thing left to say, and that's that I'll see you next time on Friday for the picks for the rest of the Big Ten.